Welcome everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about a passport that is amazing that I would never take. And this is going to come from the feedback a little bit from a friend of mine who actually has this passport. It's like very, very desirable. Okay, lots and lots of people would love to have this passport when I tell you, kind of get into it. And yet I would not take it. And we're going to discuss a little bit why. We're going to talk about his experiences, etc., and go in accordingly. So let's dive in and discuss it. Before we do, if you are new here, welcome. I'm Michael. We do international corporate structuring, international tax planning, we help people relocate to other countries, etc. And so if you need help with optimizing your global tax, figuring out what the best places are for you, figuring out what the best corporate structure setup is, we help people all over the world. We're very jurisdiction agnostic. We work with people from 150 countries. We help people deal with all sorts of countries. And so we have no specific bias towards buy the product in whatever country. We don't care. Like, we're just going to try and find you the best solution for you. And so if you're interested in that, please reach out to me. You can book a call, calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer, link in the description below, or send a message through offshorecitizen.net. Okay, so what is this country? This country is Singapore. And this is nothing against Singapore. This is generally a blow against certain really top tier countries and a characteristic that a bunch of them have. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the Singapore passport is by far one of the best passports in the world. And in a bunch of regards, I would say I would love to have a Singapore passport. Like, not only is the passport itself amazing, but Singapore as a country is amazing. The tax policy is quite good. So if you had to go and live somewhere, quite decent in that regard, they have a pretty good network of tax treaties. Like, this is pretty excellent, okay? So you might ask, well, why? Why then would you suggest that you would not take that passport? And the reason is quite simple. It's because they do not allow dual citizenship. And I think in the modern age, this is becoming really, really important. So quick anecdote about this friend of mine who will remain nameless. He had previously citizenship and got a citizenship by investment program, and then happened to be living in Singapore for long enough he could qualify for Singaporean passport and went for it. And great, he got it. And he's had it for quite a while. And, in many regards, for a long time, he's been very happy with it. I mean, like I said, it is legitimately a great passport, okay? He lived for a long time in Singapore. He's retained property in Singapore over quite a long period of time, on and off. Very global individual, etc. And now here's the thing. He would have gone and done something like the Maltese citizenship program, but he was like, no, I can't, because I have this Singaporean passport that would require that I would have to give it up to get the Maltese one, and that seems like an issue. Well, now he's kind of wishing that he had gone for it, and he doesn't have the opportunity to get Malta anymore because Malta's not available anymore. And so as much as he has, a good passport, right? It's like, if you were to compare this to, I don't know, frankly, most of the CBIs that you'd get if you got them on their own, right? Meaning you didn't have like some combination of other passports, then it's just clearly better, right? However, as he looks at some of the things that Singapore is talking about doing, some of their possible policies, he's like, I don't know, like, I'm not feeling that comfortable. Now, if that's your only passport, that's bad. If you have a bunch of passports, no big deal. And this is something I think is really worth noting, is that in the modern day, there's just so much change in the world, right? So much change. And we don't know what will happen in a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. So when you have a lot of uncertainty, how do you deal with that? Do you try and predict the future? Humans suck at predicting the future, okay? We're probably not going to predict well. So the solution then becomes optionality. Buy or do various different things to secure multiple passports, okay? This is something I have done. This is something that lots of our clients have done. And there's different ways to do that. You can go and live in another country. You can get it that way. In some cases, there's some things you can do via marriage. In some cases, you can make an investment. For example, we help people all over the world with places like Turkey, the Caribbean passports, the South Pacific passports, et cetera, right? So there's lots of options in those regards. You can definitely make those things work. But on their own, they're okay, right? They're okay. Where it really becomes powerful is when you have a bunch of them, when you can say, okay, well, Turkish passport isn't that great on its own, but it's a country that probably is going to be hard to push around. They have like 80 million people. I don't stand out if I have that passport, etc. So maybe I have that. Gives me a few different options. Not great in terms of reach, but I'll add it to my portfolio. I'll have, say, one in St. Kitts, or one in Dominica, or one in Antigua, something like that. And then maybe you go and you live somewhere else, then you add another passport, right? Or maybe you already have a passport from wherever you came from. Now you've got a bunch of options. Do we know how well it will go for any of these Caribbean programs? No, we don't. It's unknown. Right now, they're fairly okay. They don't give you full access to the world, but someplace like St. Kitts, you could always go and live there, have a zero tax policy. That's really good. Antigua, same sort of thing. So great, like, why not, right? Why not take advantage of doing all these things? Well, obviously there's a cost to that, right? So it has to make sense in your situation. I kind of say, when you are at sort of the 7 figures of net worth level, it probably makes sense to look at. By 8 figures, it's a no-brainer. Like, if you have 8 figures of net worth and you're not buying another passport, you're kind of crazy. And the reason is, you sort of should view it as an insurance policy, right? By the time you need it, you can't get it. So you want to have it in advance. You're talking about nowadays, depending on whether you're making an investment in someplace like Turkey or doing one of these Caribbean programs, where you're talking about $250K approximately, right? So it's more expensive than it was. That already is a reason that, prices go up. So a person may want to get in there. Less in terms of the actual net cost in some place like Turkey, if you can invest in a property. So, okay, great. There's other ones as well. Of course, you can reach out to us and have a conversation if you're interested. But imagine that. You're talking about like 1, 2 or less % of your net worth. Like, you can earn that just by depositing in a government bond in a few months, right? So it's crazy not to invest in it at that point in time. If you're in a situation where you have less, well, then it becomes, like, the insurance is expensive. Then you have to start thinking about, well, where am I from? What's my existing passport? I'm blessed. I have a Canadian passport. It's, got a lot of reach to it. So that's really good. So, if somebody's coming from Canada and they've got 600 grand, would I tell them to go and get another passport? No, probably not. It's probably not worth it as the insurance. You're better off doing some other things. But then again, if you come from like Nigeria, or I was having lunch with a girl recently who's from Libya, right? Libya, crazy place to be from. Not a good passport, right? So you might gain a lot by having a passport in one of these places if you're from someplace like Libya. And maybe in that situation you say, okay, well, I'm just going to buy a property and rent it out in Turkey, and I'm going to gain some better access that way, or find some other ways to get in there. But I think that with the world's high degree of uncertainty today, it's really, really important to be able to have optionality. And so this excludes, for me anyway, someplace like Singapore, but it also excludes places like any other place that really would restrict me to having only one citizenship. Not to say that it's the end of the world. It's not. Like, again, be grateful, thankful that you have a great passport if you can get one, because it can really open up a lot of doors. I think that one of the greatest injustices in the world today is that where you are born, basically being the lucky sperm club, has a great deal to do with how well you're going to do in life. And that's it's an injustice, right? We shouldn't have that. We should have kind of be aiming for more meritocratic, where how well you can do is determined principally by, the efforts that you put in and the results that you produce. But that's unfortunately not the only factor in the world that we live in. So anyway, I hope that helps. It's a perspective. Let me know what you guys think. Tell me, am I crazy? If so, by all means, attack me in the comments below. And otherwise, if you're interested in any of these things, please reach out to me. Look forward to talking to you, and we'll see you on the next video.